Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
This was a live we did on Evolutionary. Of course, everything is up on Patreon, and there's exclusives that go up on Patreon, usually 2, sometimes 3 times a week, occasionally even 4 times.
Yeah, indeed. Mm-hmm.
Indeed. This is an insane world. Let's check out what's happening weather-wise. As you see, this is Katy, Texas. There's multiple tornadoes right now that we're facing everywhere from Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And all this weather chaos is going to head over to our friends and family over in Alabama and Georgia, etc. Be aware of this if you are in the South. Just a real craziness going on weather-wise. This is Dickinson, Texas. You can see the rotation and the clouds touching the ground over there. Absolutely serious weather. We're in the middle of it too ourselves. This is some damage in New Caney, Texas. Now, last night there was also extreme weather and tornadoes not too far from the same area that we're talking about today. As you see, these houses losing their roofs. So you have a confirmed tornado on the ground. This is Gloucester, Mississippi. These storms are really kind of unusual. We've been following max velocity. He has no explanation for some of the things that he's looking at as he's seeing 200 mile an hour shears with the conditions that shouldn't support those readings. And I love watching these weather guys that know way more than I do, and they're at a loss for words, and they keep repeating themselves because they just don't understand how we're getting what we're getting unless you put in a little technology. But they don't go there. This is from the National Weather Service, and for obvious reasons too, because they don't want to mess with their bread and butter. And Caldwell Parish, Louisiana, LaSalle Parish, Louisiana, tornado warning in effect, as you could see here. Banks Springs, Louisiana, Columbia, Louisiana, Amite County, Mississippi. All these areas, these are warnings. Again, it's just wild what we've watched. Like he was talking about one particular tornado that was apparently on the ground for over an hour. And, again, when you look at the conditions, they just defy logic. They defy logic unless we, again, take into consideration technologies. And more people are doing that. They really are. Nederland, Texas, Central Gardens, Texas, Fannett, Texas. You can see all these. Winsboro, Louisiana, Gilbert, Louisiana, Caldwell Parish, LaSalle Parish. Just be careful out there, guys. Rough weather. And let me refresh this now. And let's go back a little bit from Texarkana so you can see the bigger picture. And roll it forward. Some pretty intense cells. Hopefully there will be no loss of life with these storms. And as we go back farther, you can see, be prepared. Memphis and Birmingham, Montgomery, even up to Nashville, Little Rock. Might be a bumpy night. Guys.
Right. And I just want to ask people after this video, we're doing this video and it's going up right away. And if you could spend 5 or 10 minutes, if you have it, just shielding everyone that might need shielding with the quantum world that we live in, we can do that and make the intention that energies come together and help others.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, envision yourself encapsulated in a pure white light bubble, so to speak, and ask for help from all those beings that you believe in. If you want to pray in the name of Jesus, pray in the name of Jesus. If you want to ask Buddha for guidance or Vishnu or Krishna or Kuan Yin or whoever, Just go ahead and ask, verbalize. Again, this whole quantum realm, as Cindy was talking about, responds to our consciousness. This is part of what we are really trying to get across. Magic, so to speak, is real. And whether we call that magic prayer or intention or meditation, etc., it's up to the individual, as each one of us is unique. You probably have heard about the bird flu and mutations, etc. CDC is saying we could be facing another, let's say, plague upon the land situation as the food supply seems to be dwindling. Prices are certainly going up. I was just amazed to see that a quart of strawberries was up close to $8. It's just like insanely ridiculous, the prices that are going up. I don't believe it has to be this way, but there are those that are making a lot of profit. As we know, this is part of the reality. There are multiple reports, many reports coming in again, that in China there's hospitals overwhelmed. Anything that comes out of China, we all take with a huge grain of salt. But after what happened 2019, 2020, everybody looks to China first, kind of, to see, okay, is this going to be something significant? Here we go again. Let's hope not. It's not going to ever be the same because, we've all drank a lot of coffee. Let's just say that. And we're pretty awake now. We're waking up. Meanwhile, you have no confidence going in many of the governments. Many of the governments around the world are in absolute turmoil. We're heading to a totally different place. Everything is going to be really, really redone now. You're going to see the pendulum swings to the left. The pendulum swings back to the right. And, again, you could just see this going from 45 to 46, go back to Obama, and then go back to Bush. That pendulum just keeps swinging wider and wider. And this is, completely purposeful in my mind. I'm one of those cynical conspiracy theorists. Absolutely. It's all part of basically getting us all nauseous and giving in to, giving away our rights so that we could have protections, kind of like what the mob does, right? The mob comes, they knock on the storefront and say, Mr. Jones, we want to offer you our protection. It's going to cost you so much a month. This sounds like the insurance industry, which is another affront to, an organized crime syndicate when you get down to it. The world is waking up to this and just how big this is. But meanwhile, the German government falls apart. President dissolves parliament. So watch Germany, watch France. I think it's inevitable that France is going to have some sort of second French Revolution. Meanwhile, the third WW is just going at the pace of a turtle, and yet it's still going. Finnish commandos seize Russia-linked ship after undersea cable cut. You had a Chinese vessel stopped. You had a Russian vessel stopped. Now, Cindy was getting a message from the guides, and they were showing her a Chinese vessel. We haven't really gotten any clarity on that.
I know. I'm waiting for more information to come in. This morning, the name of a vessel. I'm waiting on for that to clarify itself as well. But it was definitely military, is definitely in the ocean, and what it is doing out there, I don't know. I kind of got snapped out of my space there and lost everything, but I held on to enough to be able to go back and revisit. So I don't know. They usually don't show me things like this unless it's pretty darn important.
They don't typically give her anything military. That's why I'm here, because she's got a block from the higher self with anything concerning war. And, yet I definitely take note of it when she gets something like that. And I was making fun today when she was trying to get the name across, because she was like, it was in Chinese, so it was something like we we're going to look for more information, and we'll share that as we get it. But yeah, obviously NATO and BRICS is still on this collision course. There's more than enough signs to understand this. Syria is a mess. Please send your prayers to Syria. I have not gone into detail on what I'm seeing in Syria in too great a depth, because it's very, very sad, scary, and disheartening. As you know, Syria is going to be broken up into smaller pieces. It does seem like it's going to be carved up. And right now, when you have this type of thing going on, if you guys know your history and you remember Yugoslavia, and you remember what happened in the Balkans, there was a lot of horrors going on in the Balkans at the time Yugoslavia was broken up. Interestingly enough, I was watching another channel which I hadn't seen before, a very, very popular channel that just covers nice places to go, travel type thing. And interestingly enough, Slovenia was up there. I've seen some photos of Yugoslavia, the former Yugoslavia. I still think of it as Yugoslavia. It's some of the most beautiful parts of the world there. It's absolutely gorgeous, and should be a paradise. It's always the politics that creates hells in these beautiful paradises, and it's really sad. So again, we want to send our prayers to everybody in Syria. As right now, what's going on is a serious power play there. You have the U.S. and U.K. According to Russian sources, the U.S. and U.K. are planning terrorist attacks. Now, of course, we would say that Russia and its allies are planning terrorist attacks. It's again, depends on what side you're on, but the reality is they truly are terrorist attacks from both sides. It's not just one side that does terrorism. And the terrorism that's being done is just on average people, most of who they just want to simply, sell their bread, run their pastry shop, whatever it is. It's most people don't want all this chaos. It's the system. It's the military-industrial complex that lives off of this chaos and the true demonic forces that they serve.
Yeah, it's a mess.
So you have the fall, again, of Syrian President Bashar Assad's government earlier this year. How many are going to be falling in 2025? A ton. There is going to be so much change in 2025. It's going to keep our heads spinning. And yeah, obviously, the U.S. has never been invited into Syria. Well, we've been there a long time. And again, there is direct confrontation going on in many spots that we're not being told. The Ukraine situation, Russia is making slow, steady, tortoise-like progress over there as well. Here you have Foreign Minister Lavrov from Russia. When the U.S. was hit by a hurricane, President Biden paid the victims ridiculous compensations of $700 per person while sending over $150 billion to Ukraine. It is ridiculous. I agree with you. And it wasn't even that those people were paid and said, here you go, you don't have to ever give it back. It wasn't even that case because it wasn't even that good a deal. It's beyond ridiculous. The politicians simply make money for themselves. That's it. They're in it for themselves. And, this is why they're in their position, because they're the most corrupt people on the planet. It doesn't matter if it's the U.S., the U.K., France, and go on the other side too with Xi and Putin. They're all living lives of luxury. Meanwhile, the average person in the world is watching their quality of life deteriorate. Gosh, I forget his name. The nice guy from the U.K. That covers finances that we watch every now and then. Neil Ward. In reality, the prognosis is that the UK and probably the US too, but he was just talking about the UK. It's going to be a complete third world country there in our lifetimes if we are able to get through the challenging times ahead. But I don't think it's all going to last that long. This is the thing. I do think that the system itself is totally unraveling. Did you realize that China's car production is 32.3% of the world? Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize they had a third. That surprised me to see it was that big. Maybe it shouldn't. The U.S. 11.3%. and Japan 9.6%. I got to tell you, Japanese workmanship and anything is fantastic. It really is. You know, if you're into guitars, if you're into anything, they really do a good job the way they put things together. Here you see India's at 6.3, South Korea 4.5. We see Germany at 4.4, Mexico 4.3. The reason also why I look at this, if you know historically World War II, it was the car factories, Ford. It was, you know, again, those car factories turned into the factories that they made the tanks, the military vehicles, the planes. So when you see this, you know that a long-term war, it would be hard to overcome BRICS because they just have more industry at this point in time. The definite ace in the hole could be technology, but at the same time, you know, we understand the U.S. has very advanced technology, but so does China. And Israel's technology might be above all of them in reality, again, because of their non-terrestrial ties.
Yeah, we really got to watch that technology and be mindful of what we take on.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen, the Treasury expects to reach new limit between January 14th and 23rd, at which time it will be necessary for Treasury to start taking extraordinary measures. As you see, you know, this is the brain trust right here that is leading our financial system. That's the brain trust. That really says it all. I mean, I think that, you know, you don't have to go past that. 2025, I think, it is going to be the year that we see the economic collapse, because it will go hand in hand with them trying to issue new currency. And your head might spin, because it could be not all new currencies take, so to speak. So weather the storm as best you can. And how do you do that? Well, again, just try to have all your basic goods covered. And, you know, just think in terms of a bad storm. If a hurricane's coming and you might be out without power for a week or two in the worst case scenario, can you handle that? And it's the same thing. What if you didn't have the ability to get to a bank? What if, boy, it got awful quiet all of a sudden out there. It's really weird. All of a sudden, it just got like super quiet out there. So, you know, just be aware of that. Do you have anything that you could barter and trade with? And, you know, do you have duplicity when it comes to water purification and food? Denmark has become the first country to force farmers to pay a flatulent tax. Literally, yeah. You do. It's amazing. Neil McCoy, again, Ward, was talking about the fact that the effective taxation rate in the European Union is somewhere in the 80-90% range. So effectively, whatever you're buying, you're pretty much paying just about double in taxes. That, to me, that is insanity. But this is what they want for the entire world. This is a... You know, we've had a coup on planet Earth. It's been a coup. It's been a takeover that people didn't really realize in most cases. Russians spent as much on occult services as groceries in 2024. What does that tell you? Well, you can look at it like, well, they're going to their energy workers, they're going to their tarot readers, they're going to the psychics a ton, or food is pretty damn cheap. Which of the two do you think it is? I think people are tired of organized religion. People are moving past organized religion. The organized religion is losing adherents in droves. And in fact, you know, they are slated to kind of collapse. Yet at the same time, when you look at what it costs to buy food in certain areas, the disparity there, the difference is enormous. It's enormous. The market for occult services in Russia has reached an estimated 2.4 trillion rubles, about $24 billion, which analysts say is comparable to how much the nation spent on food over the past 12 months. Now, many fundamentalist-minded people think that, you know, they've been brought up with the thought that there'll be a new one-world religion, which will be Luciferian, and it's going to come through the New Age movement. I think the reality is that new religion is ultimately technology, and it's the merger of humans with AI.
Well, yeah, I mean, I believe any belief system should be expanded, and it shouldn't be looked at like there is something wrong. I think we should all have a heart of curiosity instead of condemnation.
Elon Musk's AI startup raises $6 billion from BlackRock. Wait a minute, isn't he the world's richest man? Doesn't he have like $500 billion or more? Why does he need to raise money at all? Where is it? Again, BlackRock, Nvidia, AMD, and others. Yeah. I think the reality is, again, you do not become a billionaire in this world without being part of the system. Do you think Elon wants to lose his money? Do you think 47 wants to lose his money? No, they don't want to lose their money. Do they want change? Yeah, I think there's a part of them that wants change, but really, what change do they want? The world has gone through some serious, traumatic, quote-unquote, earth-changing events that for much of it has been buried, literally buried. What happened to this? As you can see, what happened? Are we going through the beginning stages? I do think we are beginning to go through the beginning stages of another mud flood. This is Eric Dubé fan's account. He's a big flat earther. He might be the definitive flat earth source when you get down to it. And they will talk about looking at stars. Why do stars look like they're underwater? Well, again, this is where flat earthers, they have a lot of things right. The size of the earth is not right. The earth is much bigger than what we're told. We get that it's actually 4 times the size that we're told. What you see as earth in our atlases, maps, Google Earth, is only a quarter of what actually is Earth. Now, Tiamat was the planet that Earth is created from. Tiamat was destroyed by the very system that has enslaved humanity right now and for the last several thousand years. At least 5,000, 6,000 years, I would say. But could be double that length or even more, relatively speaking, because time itself is relative. The reason why the stars do look like they're underwater is because space is not a vacuum. Space is more akin to water than a vacuum, and this is why. So, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Well, we don't live in pineapples, but we do live under the sea in so many ways. And what does that mean? If space is more like an ocean, that means life is just everywhere.
Well, I look at orbs and I look at stars, and I feel that they are taking the energy all around them to show themselves as much as they are. And they take on the form of that energy. So we're looking at ether, and in many ways it is like water, but when you see it through a star or through an orb, you can actually see it like you would be looking at water.
Yeah, and the human body, again, is somewhere between 65 and 85% water, depending on how old we are. Mm-hmm. So we are made up of water. Water is it's life itself, and yet it comes from the ether. We're here to play. We're here to explore. We're here to have fun. And, again, part of the misunderstanding about souls that inhabit these bodies is, number one, that you don't need any dogma to have eternal life because consciousness is eternal. Yet consciousness will take different bodies depending on what experiences the consciousness wants. So that means ultimately that the consciousness that inhabits these animals, like this bull here, having a good time. Why does he like to play ball? Why does he seem to be acting like a dog? Because, again, at the heart, at the soul of that, being is really the same thing that's in a dog, which is really ultimately the same thing that's in us. It's just that it's experiencing its reality from a different vehicle. But it will go on, have more incarnations. At some point in time, may be a human, may have 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000 incarnations as a human. or it could be even a portion of a human soul that's here to guide and help somebody else. It could be that it might be a portion of one of this person's guides. Again, it's recognized in many traditions that very, very high-level beings can take embodiment, at least temporarily, in animals, and do often. There's tons of myths and stories and legends of very advanced beings, what we would call gods and goddesses, coming down and turning themselves into a deer, for instance. I mean, it's all over our mythology. Mythology is definitely one of my passions.
Right. And so many of us have had that one pet or that two pets or even three pets that are like our soul pets, and there's a soul connection there. So that's something that's very important. And also, other little creatures like squirrels, birds, bugs, have you ever caught them just kind of staring at you or looking at you and you get this really unusual type of feeling from the insect or the bird or the squirrel? Yeah, believe me, there's somebody trying to get a message to you if you feel that.
Yeah, if you ever want to be freaked out, spend a little time with a praying mantis.
Yay.
Absolutely. As always, guys, thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. If you feel so inclined and you want to support what we're doing, join us over at Patreon. It's only $1 to join the Patreon family. And then also, if you pay for a year in advance, it's $10.80 because there's a 10% discount. So that's 90 cents a month, less than $1 menu item that would toxify your body anyway. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.